Okay, now we're going to go ahead and show you how to use the transformation dialog. I just like to let you know you can't always rewind and pause this. By the way, we're going to go with Arrange, Transformation, and choose any one of these, and we'll open it up. I'm going to choose Position. I'm just going to open it up docked. This can be undocked and placed to a better place if you choose to. I like to leave it docked, but it's user interface. You can use it any way you like. Put it anywhere you want. If you want to dock it the way we had it, just drag it to the far right side of the screen, let go, and it will be back to the original dock location. Paper doesn't fit anymore, so I can hit F5, shortcut to redraw the paper at a full width on my screen. And put something on the screen. I'm going to choose a rectangle as my object. Now my rectangle is a random object and is randomly placed. I can go ahead and try to put the top corner, right at the top corner of my paper, which would match my laser table rulers. A little bit hard to do, a little arbitrary as well, so I can go ahead and not do it that way. I'm going to show you how to do it in transformation by using the position. Now, there's different choices here. Position being the first. We have rotation, the mirroring, and the sizing, and the skew. But right now we're going to go back to position, and the position is what we're actually in. It says 0, 0. We have these nodes we can work with, including the center node, and those nodes match the object, or these nodes, including, again, of course, the center node. I'm going to choose my top left-hand node. So I want my top left-hand node to be top left-hand corner of my paper, or where my rulers are, my apex of the rulers on my laser table. Relative position is selected, and I'm going to put a 0 and a 0. When I hit Enter or Apply, it's going to not move it at all. We are in relative position. We moved it exactly 0 inches horizontally and 0 inches vertically. Take relative position off, and now the top left-hand node is at 4.338 and minus 1.782. You see that by the rulers or by the numbers. We change them to both to 0. 0 tab 0. And hit Enter, which is a shortcut to apply, and it put the top left-hand node at the top left-hand corner of the paper, which is what we're trying to achieve. Now my object size is not the size I wanted. I can go ahead and make it a 5 by 7. And if I hit Enter using the toolbar up here, got a problem. It resizes only from the center node. So it lost my position. It's not what I was trying to do. I'm going to choose Edit Undo. Control Z is a shortcut. I'll probably be using Control Z as I go through this. I'm going to go to my size and change it to 5 and 7 and hit Apply. It does exactly the same thing because, as you can see, the center node is still the selected node. The advantage of using it in transformation, I'm going to go ahead and undo it, is I can change the node to the top left-hand corner. When I make it a 5 and a 7 and hit Apply, it changes it based on the top left-hand node, so it grew from there. It did not move its position. It's still at the origin or 0, 0. So make sure you have the right node selected before you hit Apply, and it will move to or where you want it to. Alrighty. I'm going to go back to position, just explain a little bit more about this. What we can do is we can show you some of these other options. If I put a 5 in here, and I hit Apply, it moves to 5 inches or 5 inches from where it was. If I hit Apply again, or as many times as I choose to, it won't move because it moved to 5 inches. It's called an absolute position. If I put it back to 0, back where it was absolutely. Now, the difference between relative and absolute is by using relative, we can move it. I'm going to select the center mode, just to put it to all zeros. Put a 5 in and hit Apply. It moved it 5 inches from where it was, and in this case, I'm going to undo it. I'm going to apply a duplicate. Now I made another plate, or as many places as we wish, 5 inches from the last one, or last position was at. By selecting all these, I can take the 5 off, make it a 0, and put a minus 7 to make it go down, as 7 will make it go up, and 7 represents my part height. And when I hit Apply to Duplicate, they'll go down rather than up. So make sure it's a negative number. I hit Apply to Duplicate. If you hit again, you got too many plates, but it's easy here. Just hit Delete, get rid of them. I'm going to get rid of these plates now, just to show you how to use the function. Hit Delete, get rid of this one, hit Delete. Okay, now with this plate, again, just explain this a little further. Taking relative position off, I'm going to put in, actually, let's go put relative back on. And what we'll do is just explain these numbers here. If I put a 1 in, I hit Apply, it moves it over 1 inch from where it was every time I hit Apply. So I'm not moving to 1, moving back to 0. I just hit Control-Z to put it back where it was. Now with these nodes, they represent those numbers are that node in space, depending on if you're in relative position. By hitting apply, it won't move in relative position because it is at that location already. By changing to hit apply, it will move to it, but again, it won't move anymore once it moves to that spot because we are in an absolute position, or we're using the rulers, in other words. It's a true measurement. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Now, these ruler numbers can be viewed by the screen or by the rulers themselves. And they can be viewed at the top left corner as well. Again, I'm going to select the node, change that to a 0, put it back to where it was. Now, if I use my arrows, I can nudge this, and you can see we moved over 1/10 of an inch. We want to do that if we're going to cut this out, because we can't cut out at a true 0. We have to move it off the paper or into the paper a little bit more. Put it back where it was. Just to show you how the arrows will nudge it and how you can see the effect. Let me go ahead and go over to some of these other options here. Each one of these options has its own screen, and they do different effects. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen just to get some other objects on here. We'll take this, and on this object I can rotate it by double-click on it and just grabbing one of the corners and rotating by freehand. Go ahead and get my paper back centered. Okay, that's a fairly random way, but it's an easy thing to do. I just hit Control-Z, put it back where it was. I'm going to select it, and now we're going to use the rotation menu of the transformation. So I'm going to go ahead and put a number in here. Let's go ahead and put in 90. 90 is going to move it counterclockwise. So when I hit apply, it just rotated 90 degrees each time I hit apply. One more time, we'll go back to where we started. If I put a minus 90 in here, or any other angle, doesn't matter what number you use, it's going to go clockwise. Now we can also pick different nodes, just like we did before. We can have the relative center or an absolute center. I'm just going to grab one of these to show you how it works. It's rotating based on that handle, or that node, that bottom node, as the rotation point. I don't use that often, but I usually use center, just to show you what it does. Again, the best way of figuring these things out is to use them. Those are the numbers we're at right now. We can change the center point if I wanted to. Generally, I'm rotating things from where they're at, but we can pick a center point or a node instead of location. Another thing we can do is we can go ahead and we'll select this object, and actually just mirror. Mirror is a simple tool. Every time I hit it, it's going to mirror it from where it was. So mirroring is on. If I hit apply duplicate, it makes another one. When I drag it over, it's going to be sort of random. If I hold the control key down, it's going to put me on what's called an ortho mode, or a same baseline. So I have two parts that are now facing each other. Don't need a separate piece of artwork to do this. Just mirror a duplicate of it. Take the mirroring off there, and I'll put this mirroring on. This will mirror the other direction, vertically versus horizontally. If it applies, this goes upside down. Can be useful, depends what you're doing. We can stretch things out, just make it a random stretch, put it back the way it was. Or we can type in a scale, a true percentage. Now, mirroring is still on, so if I hit apply, it goes upside down. We'll go ahead and put it back. Actually, I'll undo this a couple times. Back to where we were. Take mirroring off. And I have the 200 there. If I hit apply, it will just do a stretch. So these can be used in concert or individually. Go back to where we had it. Okay, we got through these, and I did the size, and the last one is skew. Skew, and I don't use too often. Let's put something in here just to show you. We can rotate this based on any of these nodes, or we tilt, I should say, that based on any of these nodes. I'm going to use 25 degrees, just hit apply. Every time I do, it's going to apply 25 more degrees of slant. I hit Control-Z twice to go back to where we were. If I pick one of these nodes, it's going to rotate, or I should say slant, based on the node. We'll undo that again. Don't use slant too often. It's probably my least used of these choices. Position. Kind of went through that most thoroughly because that's what I use mostly. I like position. I use it for a lot of things. The other one I use frequently is size. Size I often use after I have something in the correct position. I want to leave the handle where it's at. I do use the other tools too, but the other tools aren't as frequently used, so I spent most of the time showing you how to use position and size. and we'll call this a completed job.